Welcome back, everybody. Let's get straight to the reading. So, last time we read, we met Dr. Hatch, who seems to be in charge of this Elgin Academy, which actually just seems more like it's a facility than it is a school or an academy. And they've basically abducted Taylor and have her trapped there. And they've told her that she has a twin sister named Tara, who, in my opinion, seems to be under mind control. And Dr. Hatch is expecting Michael Vey to show up. Seems as if they might have lured Michael Vey there. They could have abducted him, but they wanted to lure him there for some reason. I'm not sure why. We're on part 3, chapter 22, The Revelation. One thing I knew about Austin, if he didn't understand something, his brain attacked it without ceasing, comparing facts and calculating figures with the intensity of a computer processing chip. Around 9:30 at night, his breakthrough came. He was lying on the couch in my front room, staring at the ceiling as I paced from one side of the room to the other, like a caged leopard. I just don't get it, I said. How did they know who I am? How did they know about our powers? Austin was quiet for another minute, then he suddenly shouted, "That's it. What's it?" He jumped up from the couch. "I've been trying to figure out why they came after you all at all. You weren't looking for those records." He looked at me, his eyes wide with excitement. "It's because they don't care about the records." "What do you mean?" "They're not trying to hide the information about what their machine did. They're looking for the survivors, and when they found Taylor, they found you." "I'm not following you." "Look, these guys have all the records of every baby who survived. What if those other children all had powers like yours and Taylor's? If they discovered that their machine gave those babies special powers, that could be worth billions." "That's a big if," I said. "Is it? You said the other kid, Zeus, shocked your mother, right? So we know there's at least one other." He spoke the word cautiously. "Mutant. The only other people we know who were born at that hospital at that time have electrical powers. So statistically, we're batting 1,000. There were 17 children who survived. Maybe they all have powers." He paused, waiting for the last of the puzzle pieces to come together. Then he pounded the palm of his hand with his fist. "It was a fake." Austin looked at me the way he did when he solved a difficult math problem. "The whole thing with the gunman was fake. It was a test." "Why would they do that?" "Because you don't pick up an electric eel without getting shocked. They first had to see what you could do. You said the man in the sunglasses appeared after he shocked the gunman, right?" "That's right." And he said, "Well done, Michael." I stopped pacing. "You might be onto something. He knew my name and what I did." "And Clyde?" "Who's Clyde?" "He's the gunman." I remember thinking that he looked really nervous, like he didn't want to be there. He was shaking like crazy, and his gun didn't even have bullets. I looked down. "But then why did they take my mom and not me?" "Maybe they wanted to take both of you, but didn't get the chance. You said you heard me coming, right?" "Right. But they were gone by the time I returned. They must have run out of time. They already had your mother, so they took her and ran." "Which means they're probably still looking for me." "They don't have to," Austin said. "What do you mean?" "They have your mother. They know you'll come looking for them." He looked in my eyes. "Whoever took your mom took Taylor. So if we can find one of them, we can find the other." I suddenly had a flash of inspiration. "Wait, I think I know where Taylor is." "Where?" "The academy." I ran into my bedroom and found the brochure Taylor had given me from her locker. I brought it back out of the front room and spread it open on the counter. "Here, it's got to be the place, or at least it's connected." Austin looked at the brochure. 513 Allen Avenue, Pasadena, California. He looked up. "I think you're right. I'm betting that the Elgin Academy is really just for kids with electrical powers." Austin's logic made sense to me. Why else would they offer a scholarship to me when there were hundreds of kids with better grades? "You could be right," I said. "Now what?" Austin asked. "We tell the police?" I said. Austin shook his head. "No way. They'll never believe us." "Why wouldn't they?" "Think about it. Two teenagers walk into a police station and tell them that a secret agency is kidnapping mothers and cheerleaders." Hearing it like that did sound crazy. "But we have proof," I said. "No, we have a hunch and some articles on the internet. They'll think we're crazy. And even if we somehow convinced them to look into it, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. If they find anyone snooping around, they'll just move your mom and Taylor to someplace else, and then we'll have nothing." Austin stood and began to pace. "We need to know more about our enemy." but it's not like they're going to have a Facebook profile. Where do we learn more? Clyde the gunman, I said, but he's in jail. Lieutenant Lloyd could get us to him. Why would he do that? He said their first interrogation was worthless. Maybe I can convince him that I might be more effective. I brought out the card Lieutenant Lloyd had given me. I'm going to call him. I immediately went to the phone and dialed Lloyd's cell number. A gruff voice answered. This is Boyd. His full name was Boyd Lloyd. No wonder he went by Lieutenant. Lieutenant Lloyd, this is Michael Bay. Michael, what can I do for you? I had been so eager to call him that I had dialed without thinking about what I was going to say. I just had a thought. You said you had spoken to the gunman, but he didn't say much. No, he was as tight as pantyhose on a hippo. I was wondering if maybe he would talk to me. You want to speak with Clyde? Well, maybe seeing me might make him talk. There was a long pause. Frankly, we don't do much worse than we did with the last interrogation. Hold on, I'm going to call my partner. May I call you back at this number? Yes, I said. Bye. I hung up the phone. What's up? Austin asked. Why did you hang up? He wants to talk to his partner. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Michael, it's Lieutenant Lloyd. Yes, sir. I spoke with my partner. He thinks there's a chance it might work. A small chance, but worth trying. So if you're willing to face Clyde, I say let's go for it. Thank you, sir. What time are you available? Any time is good. I'm not back to school yet. Then how about I pick you up in the morning? Yes, sir. I have your address on the police report. I'll come by around 10. I'll be ready. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. I hung up, then turned to Austin. We're in. Well done, Austin said. You know you could always just shock Clyde again. The man helped kidnap my mother. Whatever it takes, I said. Whatever it takes. All right, chapter 23, Clyde. I didn't sleep well that night. I had a nightmare about my mother sitting in a cage at the zoo, surrounded by laughing hyenas, and calling for me to help her. Austin woke me when he knocked on my door at 7. I answered the door still in my pajamas. He was dressed for school. What's up? I asked groggily. Not you, he said. My mom told me to come get you for breakfast. I rubbed my eyes. Okay, I'll be right there. I went back to my room and put on my robe, then walked down the hall to the Lisses and let myself in. Breakfast was on the table, and Austin and his father were already eating. Mrs. Liss had made wheat toast with a fried egg in the middle. Mr. Liss was reading the paper and dipped it a little too look at me. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, I replied. That's your plate, Austin said. I sat down next to him. At the sound of my voice, Mrs. Liss came out of the kitchen. Good morning, honey. How did you sleep? Not very well. That's understandable. You just make yourself right at home. I poured myself a glass of orange juice. There are hash browns too, Austin said, pushing a plate my way, with cheddar. Thanks. Is there anything else you want? Mrs. Liss asked. Do you need some ketchup or Tabasco sauce for your egg? No, I'm good, I said. Mr. Liss glanced at his watch and set down his paper. I've got to go. He stood looking at us. You boys take it easy. Mr. Liss had an unusually deep voice that made everything he said sound like an order. Yes, sir, I said. See you, Dad, Austin said. Mr. Liss grabbed his jacket and keys from the counter, kissed Mrs. Liss, and walked out. When he was gone, Mrs. Liss said, I forgot the salt and pepper. She walked back to the kitchen. Austin said in a hushed voice, I wish I could go with you to the police station. Me too. Are you nervous to see him? Yeah, I took a drink of juice. Mrs. Liss walked back in. Here you go, darling. She salt and peppered my egg for me, even though I didn't want it. So, Michael, do you feel up to going to school today? Not yet, I said. Lieutenant Lloyd is going to pick me up at 10. We're going down to the station to talk to the man they put in jail. Her brow furrowed. Oh, I didn't know that. Would you like me to go with you? No, I'll be all right. How are you on clothes? Do you need some laundry done? I'm okay for now. The truth was I'd been wearing the same clothes for 3 days. Well, whatever you need, just ask. I'll just be your mama until your mama gets back. Thank you, I said, grateful for how she'd said it. Austin finished eating, then went and got his backpack. I better get going. I walked to the door with him. Good luck, he said. Bones. Bones, I replied. We bumped fists, and then he walked off down the hallway. Thank you for breakfast, Mrs. Liss. You're welcome. Please let me know when you get back from the police station. Sure thing. I went back to my apartment and showered and dressed. Then it was time to go outside to the parking lot to wait. I was sitting on the curb when Lieutenant Lloyd pulled up in his police cruiser. He rolled down his window. Good morning, Michael. The morning sun was high above the mountains, and I shielded my eyes with both my hands. Hi, how are you? I shrugged. I know he was just being friendly, but it was kind of a stupid question. I've been better, he nodded sympathetically. Come sit in the front seat. I climbed into the car, put on my seatbelt, and we drove downtown. The drive to the jail took about 20 minutes. I was ticking a lot. Lieutenant Lloyd didn't say anything about it, but I'm pretty sure he noticed because he asked me again if I really wanted to do this. I guess taking a minor into the jail is pretty unusual, and he was probably having second thoughts about it. I told him I was positive it was the right thing. When we arrived at the jail, I went through all of the security, metal detectors, and all, then followed Lieutenant Lloyd down a long corridor, passing other police officers on the way. At the end of the hall were two doors. He led me through the door on the left into a darkened room. This is the observation room, he explained. This is where we watch what's going on in the interrogation room. There was a large two-way mirror as well as two monitors mounted to a console. The gunman Clyde was sitting in a chair on the other side of the glass, his hands handcuffed behind his back. Seeing him filled me with anger. This is Detective Muir, Lieutenant Lloyd said, gesturing to a man sitting in front of the bank of monitors. He'll be recording everything. I turned back. You record what happens inside? Every word, he said. I haven't thought about that. I wouldn't be able to speak freely. Lieutenant Lloyd looked into my eyes. You're still sure you want to do this? I'm sure, I said. You're a brave young man, he said. Okay then. We have Stuart in handcuffs, but if you feel threatened at all, let me know. He patted his gun belt. I have my taser. Me too, I thought. I'm ready. As we started to walk out, I brushed by the recording console and pulsed. Suddenly, all the screens in the room went blank. Wait, Muir said. We just went down. Lieutenant Lloyd groaned. What timing? It's like we got a power surge or something, Detective Muir said, flipping a few switches. He spent the next 5 minutes trying to get the system back up. Finally, Lieutenant Lloyd asked, Does the phone still work? Yes. We'll use the intercom on it. We won't be able to tape it, but at least we'll hear what's going on. All right, I'm going to stop there for now. Until next time. Thanks for listening.